very often, when I try to grasp or conceptualize these types of ideas, I relate it to Assagioli's star diagram, and perhaps
Mhm.
we could take a brief moment to just go over it in order to differentiate between, because when we say self, there is a particular understanding of what the self is in a psychosynthesis content. So I have this slide I would like to present.
Oh, look at that.
Yes. And this is, it's a modified version of Assagioli's original star diagram.
Mhm.
At the very center, where there's the number 7, we can see this is where the self and the will is located. And from a psychosynthesis point of view, we can say that we are a self, and the self is, in a psychosynthesis understanding, is a center of pure consciousness and will. And this entity, me, this self, has a range of different psychological functions. We could also call them intelligences. And these
Mhm.
intelligences helps the self navigate in the world. We have sensation. This is number 1. And this is, of course, the body with its 5 senses. But the body is not only an organ for sensation, it's also an organ for action. We can act with the body in the world. So in some way, we could say that the body gives us access to understand what goes on in the physical world and to act in it. And function number 2, emotion, feeling,
Mhm.
is probably where emotional sentience is related. And this is another function that gives us awareness about what goes on in the range of the emotion. And this is emotion within ourselves, but also outside. Through that function, we can tune into what goes on in the environment, other human beings, in nature, and we get a lot of different input from there. And this is also where we experience pain and pleasure and all kinds of emotional states and the basic emotional qualities or basic feelings, anger and sadness and depression and happiness. And there are many ways to distinguish them. And then Assagioli also understood that we have desire and impulse. And the difference between emotion and feelings is that every emotion will activate a correspondent desire. And this can be a desire to go through a pleasant sensation, or opposite, reject it and run away from it.
Mhm.
So that's the desire function. Then he also points to imagination, fantasy. And this is where we store our stories. We are also a storytelling person. All our memories are based also on inner images, but it's also a creative organ where we can fantasize and imagine new realities before we actually manifest them. Then he points to the thought. There's a lower, more rational, concrete mind, and there's the higher, more abstract or philosophical mind that we have to our disposal. And the last, not the last, but the 6th function is intuition, and this is our ability to understand reality as a whole. It's a holistic way of a sudden revelation of, we have an idea, and it illuminates us to have a look into the perhaps divine immanence, the background of all reality. And at the very center, we have this will, and we have that self. The function that is most intimately related to the self is the will, because this is where we make choices. So the self is also the part of us, that chooses what kind of information or intelligence do we allow guiding our actions and our understanding. And very, very often we have a good access to one of these psychological functions, and at other times some of the psychological functions are poor functions, weak functions. And wherever there is a weak functions, we will experience problems in our life because our ability to navigate, it could be if we are not in touch with our emotions, then it's very hard to navigate our relations because we don't know what goes on below the surface and goes on, inside ourselves. So this is a very brief overview of how Assagioli understood it.